by Vivian, French, and illustrated by Jessica Ahlberg. One day, when I was in Gran's garden, Gran dug up a slimy, slithery, wiggly worm. "Yuck!" I said. "Throw it away!" "Throw it away?" Gran looked horrified. "Would you throw away one of your friends?" "You can't be friends with a worm," I said. "You can't even tell which end is which." "Yes, you can. Watch." Gran put the worm down. It gave a kind of squirmy wriggle and disappeared really fast, pointy end first. As the rounded end vanished, Gran said, "There goes its tail." I bent down to look, and I could see it had left a little tunnel. "Where's it gone?" I asked Gran. "Home," Gran said. "It's an earthworm. It lives in the earth." In most gardens, there will be about 20 worms in every square metre of earth. Worms have 5 pairs of hearts. "Does it eat earth too?" I wanted to know. "It eats tiny, tiny stones and bits of grit," Gran told me. "But worms eat other things as well, like rotting leaves and flowers and fruit and dead insects. They especially like eating at night when it's cool." Worms come above ground to find things to eat too. They pull their food back down as they wriggle into the earth again. The stones and grit help to grind everything up in the worm's stomach, and then the worm poos it back out. Gran pointed at the flower bed. "Look, can you see?" I bent down and I saw a weird, long, curly worm made of earth. "Oh, that's worm poo," Gran said. "It's called a cast. You know, when you recycle things, well, worms do it too. There's still a lot of goodness left in the things a worm eats, and when the goodness comes out again as poo, it helps plants to grow big and strong. And as the worms move about under and over the earth, the poo gets spread round the garden. Worms are my friends." Gran gave me a thumbs up. It's not just their poo that's good for plants. The tunnels they dig loosen the soil so roots can stretch out and air and rain and water can get in. Worms' poo is so fine and crumbly it never blocks their tunnels. In a square metre of earth there will be about 4 metres of earthworm tunnels. Some people call worms underground farmers. Worms can wriggle backwards and forwards. "But it's dangerous being a worm," Gran said. I stared at her. "Dangerous?" She smiled at me. "Lots and lots of animals think worms make the best sort of dinner. Birds love them, and so do moles, badgers, frogs, hedgehogs and foxes. Even some slugs eat worms. And, human beings slice them with spades and spike them with forks. It's a tough life." "Cutting them in half doesn't hurt them, Gran," I said. "They just turn into 2 worms and keep on growing." Gran shook her head. "Poor worms. Lots of people think that, but it's not true." She put her fork down. "Time for a snack." A worm's tail can regrow if it's cut off, but cutting a worm in half will kill it. Gran had tea and I had orange juice. "Can I dig a worm up?" I asked. "If it rains," Gran said, "the worms will come up on their own. Worms breathe through their skins. They don't mind the earth around them being wet, but if their tunnels are flooded, they come up to the surface to breathe." I took a biscuit. What if it doesn't rain?" Gran winked at me. "We'll use the watering can and pretend." I finished my biscuit as fast as I could. "Can we trick the worms now?" Gran went to fill the watering can and I watered the earth. Then I stood back. I didn't want worms chewing at my shoes. They only put their heads out, Gran promised, and it will be a while before they do. When it's very hot and the soil gets too dry to slither through, a worm will wriggle down to where the earth is still damp, curl up and wait for rain. When it's very cold, it will wriggle down even deeper, below the frost level, and curl up with the other worms for warmth. Gran was right. I had time to eat 2 more biscuits before she said, "Look!" "Wow!" I said. I could just see the tip of a worm above the earth. "Now watch this." Gran stamped, and the worm disappeared. "Did it see you?" I asked. Gran shook her head. "Worms don't have eyes, they feel vibrations. And a thump like that might mean hungry bird landing, danger." Gran dug her fork in the ground. Up came lots of earth and wriggly worms. She picked one up and washed it in the watering can. "Mustn't drop it," she said. "They can't swim." Gran put the clean worm on some paper and held it near my ear. I could hear a tiny rustling sound. "What's that?" "They're covered in little bristles," Gran said. "The bristles and their muscles help them move." A worm has rigid muscles all the way along its body. To move, it pushes its front end forwards and uses its bristles to hold that end in place while the back catches up. The back end bristles stop the worm from sliding backwards, while the front end tunnels forwards again into the earth, just like a slinky toy. "I've got muscles too." I bent my arm so Gran could see. "If you've got so many muscles," she said, "maybe you'd like to help me plant my sunflower seedlings." "Okay," I nodded, and then I thought of something. "When I go to school on Monday, I'm going to say that I've got lots of new friends." "Good idea," Gran said. "Actually," I said, "I might not actually say they're worms." How to be a wormologist. Look out for worm casts in your garden or in the park. Leaves sticking up out of the earth. Worms on the surface after the rain. Experiment by watering a dry patch of grass or earth and watching to see if worms come up. Tapping on the ground to see if you can make a worm believe it's raining. Carefully digging up a forkful of earth and counting how many worms you find. When you pick up a worm, remember to be respectful. A worm is a living creature. Check how it feels. Is it smooth? Is it slimy? Can you feel the bristles? Watch how it moves. Is it a youngster or an adult? Adults have a clitellum, a yellow ring around their body. Put the worm back on newly dug earth and watch how it wriggles away. And remember, always wash your hands.